Hello, and thanks for tuning in to End the News here at globaltalkradio.com. Today we're speaking with expert jewelry designer Barbara Garwood, who personally travels to the China-Mongolia area to have her jewelry designed because she is passionate about preserving their dying art form and lifestyle. Barbara also designs pearls and beads for pendants, which are handmade by other women artisans in Nepal, Guatemala, and Indonesia. So let's jump right in. Barbara, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me.
Give us a little background on yourself. You had a career in textile and fashion design for some time now.
Yes, I started out, my degree is in textile design, and I worked in New York City as a textile designer for the fashion industry. And then eventually I ended up in the home furnishings industry, designing fabric for outdoor furniture, which then took me over to Asia, and that's how I ended up finding jewelry.
Now, when did you become more of an entrepreneur? When did this start? How's your business evolved?
Well, several of our customers, when I was in designing textiles, asked me to freelance for them, and some of their factories were based over in Taiwan, and that's where I went there first. And while I was working there, I took some side trips over to Hong Kong, and in a little back alley store, I found this jewelry. And being an artist, I thought it was very interesting, bought a piece for myself. I didn't think much about it, but when I got back to the States, everybody would see it and go, wow, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? So I ended up going back there again, buying the rest of the pieces, and sold some, and realized I was onto something.
Well, tell us a little bit about the intricate process, then, of making this jewelry. What all does it entail?
Well, the women who are making, there's about 15 of them that I've been working with for 20 years, and they take a single wire and they hand turn it with tweezers. They turn it into different forms like butterflies and flowers, and they stack the wires up to create the surface texture of like the bracelet, the earring, or the pendant. There's another group of women who then take these little shapes and they fill it in with a powder, and it's an enamel powder similar to cloisonné. And while the powder is in there, then they put it in a kiln and they fire it to 1500 degrees to turn it into glass. And this is the real deal. Most enamels you see today in the industry are really a resin of some sort, but this is actually glass. It's done in the tradition of the Fabergé eggs. And the last step they do is they put the stones into the jewelry, and then it's 24-karat gold-plated.
Well, like you said, this is a real deal. And it's more than that. It's also all done by hand, right? We're not talking machines.
No machine work. There's no casting. Many people look at the pieces and they think they're cast, but when you actually examine it wire by wire, you can see they're all hand-made. There's no casting at all.
Now, how about the beads and pearls for your jewelry? How are those made?
Well, I've been to Guatemala, and there's groups of women down there. They're traditional, in their traditional costumes and everything. They're in villages, and they're actually taking Czechoslovakian glass beads and stringing them by hand. They also do the peyote stitch, which you can see on the necklaces. And then there's another group of women over in Indonesia who hand form the glass beads. They're a little bit bigger size. And then there's also, I work with a group of women who do pearls in China, and they dye the pearls to match my gemstones. So when you see the pieces on the website, there's a perfect match of the colors of the pearls to all our stones. It makes for a really beautiful piece.
Oh, I bet it does. And you know, you mentioned when you came back and people saw your jewelry, they were fascinated by it. But more than that, I think your jewelry's actually passed by a lot of us already, right? Aren't you in a lot of major publications?
Yes, I have been designing for National Geographic for 10 years. They support the work I do with the women over there, and very encouraging, and they like to, take crafts from villages and put it into their gift catalog. So I've been in their gift catalog for 3 times a year. And then the Smithsonian also has my jewelry in their gift catalog, as well as their stores in D.C. And right now the pieces are in the Freer Museum, which is the Oriental Museum.
And did I hear...
And I have worked...
No, go right ahead.
No, I've also been designing for Ross Simons for a year back, and then Una Olivolta, which is a high-end designer catalog. They've been carrying my things since 2007, and the Stour catalog also.
Well, do I understand correctly that your jewelry is so popular that it's even being worn by some of your customers' pets?
Yes. I I know, it's amazing. We have some customers who love to buy my jewelry for their pets, and they have been, we have some photographs of that also on our website, which is interesting. And I'm in the process right now of designing a whole line of pet collars to go with the jewelry. So the owner can wear the jewelry, and their pet can be coordinated together with them. So it'll be a whole interesting concept to work on.
Well, before our interview, Stacy told me that you actually have a nickname. Some of your friends call you Indiana Joan. Can you tell us about that?
Yes, because I end up going to the village where I go to is way up in northern China on the Mongolian border, and it's off the Gobi Desert in the hillside in the middle of nowhere. And I've been going there for 20 years, and so my friends always say, "Oh, you're Indiana Jones." And we have some, amazing stories and things that happen when we go up there just because it's so remote. I can't stay there. There's no hotel. We have to go up there and then leave to a bigger city to stay for the evening. It's that remote.
But it's more than just distributing and selling this precious art form. You're actually on a mission, aren't you, to preserve their lifestyle and their art form?
Yes. When I first started 20 years ago, I had access to over 300 women and men. And over the years, that part of Asia has been modernizing, as we all know. And what happens when a country modernizes, the crafts go by the wayside because the next generation really isn't interested in doing that very tedious work. One of my bracelets takes 2 women 2 weeks to make. The earrings will take 3 or 4 days to make, 2 women to work on it. So the next generation just hasn't really been that interested in doing that kind of work. They now have access to computers, and they're going off to school. So we are down now to about 25 to 50 women. That's it. Ooh. And since we've been working for 20 years, they're all getting older, and they're wanting to retire. So it's just a matter of time before we will not have access to this craft at all.
Oh my gosh! So it is very precious. Now,
yeah, well, they're going to be they'll be collector's items, and everything, every piece is signed. It has my mark on it, and so down the road, the people who have them are holding on to them because they feel that they'll be pieces to pass on down to the next generation of daughters or daughter-in-laws or whomever.
Barbara, you're a very busy lady. For listeners who may not know, we've actually been coordinating with your staff for some time, and I'm happy to have you here. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about that busyness that you have. I understand you're involved in fashion shows and charities now. Yes.
There was a charity I just did recently called Childkind. We donated some of our pieces, and all our designs were on the runway with fashion, and this supported abused children, which is a really great thing, and they had the children there, too, that they were protecting and things like that, and they had great music, and that was here in Atlanta, where I am. Also, we've been in the Boston Week Fashion Show a couple years ago, which was a great thing, and again, my jewelry was on the runway coordinated with a fashion designer, and most recently in 2011, I was invited to have my jewelry in the gift bags to the stars at the Academy Awards, and that was just a really fun thing. The day before the Academy Awards is a big gifting suite day, and the stars come through, and they get jewelry from us and different other items, promotional items, and we get to speak with them. And I was trying to get them to do an extreme makeover with my village, but we didn't get anybody signed up yet. But they were taking my cards and saying, "We might know someone who can help you." So you never know what'll come of that.
Well, that sounds
a lot of fun.
That sounds so exciting. Did you meet any celebrities we know?
Yes, Elaine Hendricks from The Parent Trap was there. Deidre Hall from Days of Our Lives, Sarah Gray from Grey's Anatomy. There were several of them. Yes.
And before I let you go, where can listeners find out more about you and your jewelry?
Well, we have our website called www.designerjewelryhandmade.com, and they can call us directly at 404-418-5475.
All right. We've been speaking with Barbara Garwood, and we'll put that link up for you at designerjewelryhandmade.com. And Barbara, thank you very much for being a part of our program, and good luck with everything you're still doing.
Okay. Thanks for having me on.